If you ever consider time traveling, don't. Grief is a slow poison. It seeps into the bones, into the marrow, and hollows you out from the inside. It had eaten away at me for years, stripping me down until all that remained was the desperate wish to rewrite my own story. And then I found the way. It began with late nights, scribbled calculations in the dim glow of my basement lamp, my fingers stained with ink, my breath shallow with anticipation. The machine was not elegant. It was a thing of wires and rust, a grotesque amalgamation of scavenged parts, old radios, gutted televisions, copper tubing, twisted like veins of some mechanical beast. The core was the heart of it all, a pulsating, humming mass of stolen technology, and my own crude attempts at innovation. It was ugly, but it was mine. At first, I told myself it was about science. I was proving something to the world, to myself. But deep down, I knew better. It was about them. My wife, my daughter, the ones I lost in a moment of senseless tragedy. A car swerving where it shouldn't have, a brief lapse of attention. The universe swallowing them whole and leaving me behind to rot in the silence of our home. The first test was simple. Go back one day, move an object, see if anything changed. I placed a watch on the opposite side of the table. When I returned, my past self was staring at it, confused, running a hand through his hair. Proof. It worked. Then came the next step. I traveled further, days at a time, weeks. I tested cause and effect like a child prodding at an anthill, watching the tiny lives scramble. I spoke to myself, whispered warnings, nudged fate in one direction or another. And every time I returned, reality was subtly different. A book misplaced, a conversation remembered differently, a headline that didn't match my memory. I should have stopped. "Why do you spend so much time in the basement?" my brother, Michael, asked one evening. He had started dropping by more often, a silent guardian against my growing isolation. "I'm working on something important." He sighed, rubbing his hands together as if weighing his next words. "You've been different since they died. I get it, I do. But this isn't healthy." I didn't answer. I couldn't tell him. He wouldn't understand. He had a wife, kids, a life that didn't revolve around a grief that gnawed at the edges of his soul. If only I could fix it. The day I finally did it, the day I stood on the sidewalk and saw her again, was the happiest of my life. There she was, my wife, holding our daughter's tiny hand, her laughter a melody I thought I had lost forever. I felt the weight of the world lift from my shoulders. This was it. This was my moment. I stepped forward. Reality cracked. The world shuddered. The air around me turned thick, viscous. My vision doubled, tripled. My hands were not my own, too many fingers, too few. My wife turned to me, but her face was wrong. Her eyes were dark pools, reflections of something vast and unknowable. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. I ran. I fled back to my machine, back to the basement, back to the safety of knowing I had control. But I didn't stop. I told myself I could fix it. I had simply gone too far. I needed to refine my method. I needed to try again. The addiction set in quietly, like ivy creeping up an old house. One more trip, I told myself. One more adjustment. I could make things perfect. I could make them stay. But time had other plans. I started to lose myself. The jumps blurred together. My hands looked wrong in the mirror, elongated, too many knuckles. My memories became fractured. Had I spoken to Michael yesterday or last week? Had I eaten today? Did I even exist in this moment, or had I left pieces of myself scattered through time? And then, one day, I looked in the mirror and did not recognize the thing staring back at me. The machine groaned, its wires fraying like the unraveling edges of my mind. I no longer used notebooks. I simply knew where I was going, or at least I thought I did. I had to escape. Forward. I would go forward. I would travel until I found a point where I could reset it all, where I could undo every mistake, every ripple, every tear in the fabric of time that I had caused. I stepped into the machine one final time. The universe decayed around me. The stars died one by one until I floated in a sea of cold nothingness. My body dissolved and slowly emerged back from the lost dust that came from the stars. Time collapsed, pulled inward, folding over itself like the closing of a book. And then, light, the birth of everything. I watched as galaxies formed, as the first sparks of life flickered into existence. I drifted through eons, nameless, faceless, waiting for the moment I had aimed for, the moment where I could step in and finally make things right. But something was wrong. I reached my home, my past, my life. I saw them. My wife, my daughter, Michael. He was there in my house, drinking with my wife and hugging a little boy. Who was that boy? I wanted to reach out, tap the window, and talk to my family, but they did not recognize me. I was a butt shadow, a whisper, a human being outside of time. I had become something else, something forgotten. I wanted to scream, but there was no voice left in me. I wanted to cry, but tears were not forming. I wanted to explain everything, but then I understood. I had never truly left. I had always been here, watching, reaching, failing. A ghost of my own making, a prisoner of my own obsession. I didn't exist, maybe I never had, and yet I'm here, being the appendage that the universe has not removed yet, the miscalculation on a perfect equation that is reality, the aborted element from time. I am nothing. For me, this whole experience took approximately a few days, maybe even weeks. I witnessed the horror of the downfall of societies, the destruction of stars, and the rebirth from nothing of the universe. I forgot my wife and daughter's names. My brother's name is the only I remember now. I don't really know why. I used to think that traveling across time would be what would save me from the unending horror that is losing everyone you once loved. It is now, as I write this, trying to live in a strange world that looks almost exactly as the one I left eons ago, that I finally understand that time is not the solution to horror. Time is the horror.